Welcome to Your Studio Podcast, sharing strategies for studio owners. Chantelle and Michelle Hunter are co-CEOs of Studio Evolution, an online global community for studio owners who run dance, music, acting, visual arts, yoga, Pilates, even woodworking businesses. Over the last decade, they have transformed the lives of thousands of studio owners, helping them to create wildly successful and profitable studios, giving studio owners the life of their dreams. So welcome home, grab a cuppa, let's get started.
We're the yin and the yang. This is why we work so well together.
It's why we're beautiful.
I thought of you the other day. Something happened and I was trying to get... Oh, yeah, I was telling Mitch about the paint. I'm going to a paint and sip on Friday night.
Oh, yeah? Remember when we did that? That was fun.
Yeah, it was so much fun. But Mitch said, I'm surprised that you lasted that long. I was like, no, it's actually quite funny because like halfway through, Chantelle could just feel me looking at her. I was like... It's like focus on the horizon. Remember, she's like focus on the moon line or something. And I'm done. I'd be like, done. And like everyone was like... I was like, come on, she's ready to set the next step. I'm waiting for the next step. What's the next step?
You will learn so much about your team by doing paint and sip together, won't you? Won't you ever? And then there's me like going to the very last minute, like, no, I just need to be perfect.
And everyone's like, Michelle, do you want an extra paint? I was like, yeah, sure. I would love the same painting 6 different ways, team. That's exactly how I want to decorate my house right now.
My 6 very inadequate artists.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Your Studio Podcast with Michelle Hunter and Chantelle Bruinsma. And it is a big day. We've come to the end of season 2.
Woo. Wow. Oh my gosh, Fran. What a joy. Too much fun.
We've had so much fun. And today we are diving into a question which I think is probably one of the hottest topics we get questions about all the time. Every in-person kind of training. This one never fails to get a rise out of all the studio owners. And even if you've done it, there's some tweaking that can be done. And that is pricing.
Got my magic Sharpie ready.
Yeah, Chantelle is ready. And she's ready to slash. And
all I need is a whiteboard right now.
Yeah, that's right.
Or a giant Post-it note. Because this is one of my freaking favorite things to dive into. Like sorting out your pricing and getting really clear is one of the most transformational things we can do in your business. And it's also one of the most terrifying for people. Like I remember we were at retreat and one of our gorgeous clients, Pam, she runs a Pilates studio.
Love her.
And she came up and she was trying to just redo the membership model for her business. And she was about to do it. She's like, I just want to make sure it's really, really good. And she got up to the front of the room and we wrote it down. And I was like, oh, hun, we can play here. And I got out my magic Sharpie and started really just like, we don't need that. And you could just see her face like slightly
she started to retract into her body.
She did. She was slightly concerned and overwhelmed. But then we walked through it and I was like, this is what it could look like. And she did this moment where she just went like, she put her hands on either side of her cheeks and just went like, oh my gosh, like magic. And then she's gone and done it. She's gone and rolled out this absolutely refined model. So today what I want to share with you are Chantelle and Michelle's 3 golden rules of pricing.
Yes.
And we are excited to walk this through with you. If you're considering changing your pricing model, this is a must listen to episode. So we are glad you're here. And of course, if you have not yet subscribed to like the pod, please make sure you never ever miss an episode. We really appreciate you doing that right now so that you get fed all of the studio gold that we have to offer you.
That's
so
right.
Michelle, pricing, you ready?
Pricing. Yeah, let's dive in. And before we roll up our sleeves and get into it, this is truly one of Chantelle's superpowers. If you are in the room and can get, Chantelle to, review your pricing, it is really one of her superpowers. And also, before we go into this process, I like to say, let's just try it on, all right? Like, there's a lot of fear in this when we do pricing. If we're changing any kind of pricing model in our businesses, on our website, Genuine. Let's just go through this process and see what it feels like. Chantelle, I'm hearing your voice when we're talking to studio owners as they're hyperventilating.
Let's just see. Reassurance. You're going to be okay.
You're going to be okay. And let's just try it on. So, Chantelle, let's dive into the first golden rule of pricing. And, we say this a lot. I've actually said this a lot this season, but a confused mind says no.
A confused mind says no. And so rule number 1 of Chantelle and Michelle's 3 golden rules of pricing is your pricing's too complicated. I don't know if that's a rule or if it's just a statement of fact, but what we see across the board in every industry of studio business is the complexity of pricing. Now, I want you to imagine that you are in the market to join a new studio for yourself. And you go to a website and you see, oh, that looks like a lovely class. That's kind of what I'm looking for. And you see kind of the program. Yeah, I want to do that particular program. And then you have to go to the pricing page and then you have to okay, well, so 15 minutes is this amount, 30 minutes is this amount, 45 minutes is this, 60 minutes is this, 75 minutes is this, 90 minutes is this. But if I'm doing 2 classes a week, it's this. If it's 3 classes plus, I want to do that as well, it's going to be this. If I want unlimited this, it's going to be, if I want to add on that, it's going to be this, this, and this, and this. And people go to your pricing page and they have to have a degree in higher mathematics to work it out. Honest to God.
Yeah.
Honest to God, Michelle, right?
That's when there are the mental load of thinking and decision making in that moment. That's where you can just lose them.
So I'll give you a recent example for me. So my beloved Pilates instructor, my bestie, she had some surgery and I had to find somewhere else to do Pilates for 8 weeks. So I'm looking around all the studios, right? It's quite a nice, fun little experiment for me. I love it. Anyway, so I'm researching all the different websites and I found the one that I love. And I went to a class, I loved it, loved the studio. Honestly, I was like, I might actually just pick up an extra class a week because I really enjoy going there. Their pricing model, I do this for a living. I couldn't work it out. I couldn't find the best option that was right for me. And I was like, that's horrible because I am someone who I'm ready here, take my money.
Yep.
And the pricing was what kept me from coming in the door. Isn't that shit? That the pricing model was so complicated, it turned me off.
Well, it's just like another barrier to entry, right? It's just like another barrier of them just making the enrollment a seamless and easy process.
Oh my gosh, it's so the cognitive load you're asking people to do and to think when they've got to kind of make, a lot of decisions. It's like that old analogy, like, would you like red wine or white wine? It's like asking a toddler, you don't say, what would you like for dinner, darling?
Yeah.
Would you like 15 different options? No, you say, would you like penne pasta or would you like a scrambled egg? Like it's a very simple kind of choice. I mean, that's like children's 2 safe foods. So it's a decision of like, how can I make this so clean, so simple and reduce all the different options? I want it to be like 3 options ideally.
Yeah,
right?
max.
So, I even remember one of our evolution clients, like they had 17 different lines of options that people have to sift through. It makes sense to you. I get that. And you're kind of like trying to make it the best value. So you're doing it based on hours, minutes, and kind of all that teacher's more experienced. So it probably should be, they should probably be charged more. If I'm the teacher, it probably should be charged more than if a less experienced teacher, or this one's got machines or reformers. So they probably need to be charging more than if it's a mat class. And like all the variants from a consumer perspective are polarizing and they are not attractive. All they want, and they're happy to probably pay more for you to say, this is it.
Yeah, that's it. And the consumer isn't not necessarily looking at all the little variants, are they, Chantelle?
They don't know them.
Yeah.
They don't know them. Even I was doing this experiment with one of our clients last week and she was saying that, so every class, the costume is $90, except for this class. That class is $85. And I said, like, why, hun? Why is that class? She said, well, that one tends to cost less. I'm like, they don't know. They don't know. Just charge everyone $90 and make it clean, less communication, right? You can make things so straightforward and so simple for people. The other thing I want to say about that is, and this is a really important thing that is essential, I believe that, and this is something, if you want to make marketing easier for your business, I want to encourage you to take the leap with us. It's a 6-week online course and it revolutionizes your entire approach to marketing, right? I can't always say it, but it happens. The course works, right?
That's right. It works.
And in these 6 weeks, one of the things we do is we really focus on like getting people to go to your website and enroll. That's the pathway I'm going to build out in 6 weeks with you, right? And one of the things is like on your program pages, like on the pages that's about the program of your studio, don't give them all the types of pricing, friends. Don't give them, don't send them the whole pricing model for your whole studio. If they're interested in the kind of the preschool ballet program, introduction to reformer, beginner yoga, dance for 14-year-old students, just give them the pricing that they need. Don't make them sift through everything. Just like dilute it, just filter it down to just what they need to know. Your pricing is too complicated and it is turning people away. It is a marketing issue. Your pricing has actually become a marketing issue and we want to streamline it right back down.
100%.
3 options, if you can.
And then that also marketing issue, when you have 100 options, it's also an admin issue. That's like 17 different payment plans, making sure that they're up to date. When you actually like simplify it to 3 pricing options, that is so much more manageable for your admin, and you're not going to miss a failed payment. Like that's when things start to fall through the cracks. When there's more complexity, it really affects the back end as well.
Oh my gosh. And particularly if you don't have a bookkeeper, trying to stay on top of it is a nightmare.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nightmare. Honestly, it's really hard.
Simple. Yeah.
So the rule of Chantelle and Michelle's golden rule of pricing number 1 is to simplify. As much reduction, like the minimal viable number of pricing elements as you can. Number 2 is that we've talked about this season already briefly. We want to kind of double tap on this. We want to really recommend that you do an annual price rise. Every single year, we're doing a price rise for your studio. That every year that our clients, our students come to expect that the prices are going to go up a little bit. The reason this is so important and critical is that if you don't, like right now, we've got this lovely studio owner in Evolution, and she's been running her business for only like 3 years. So quite new, and she's never done a price rise. And the woman is terrified about doing it. She's terrified. She's like, I'm okay for new people coming in the door, but my current students, like, I can't do it. And if you've never done one before, that fear is genuine. Like, are they going to all up and leave me and just abandon me because they don't want to pay an extra $1 per class? It's like, actually, you're going to be fine.
And the perceived of like, it's the perception. I'm going to get 50 students pull out. You might get 2 emails. That's the reality of it.
That's right. Like the pitchfork. People are going to come to my house with flaming pitchforks and hunt me down for raising my classes by $4 a week.
And that's the fear piece that comes in. If you're not doing it consistently, that's when that fear, you wait years and years, that's when that fear can come in. And what the price increase also do, it gives you positioning, right, Chantelle? Like you want to be positioned in your area as the premier studio.
There is a relationship from a marketing perspective. The studios that do have higher price points, there is a natural perception that they are better quality, there's better tuition, there's better resources, there's better facilities. So if you are charging down bottom basement prices, there is going to be a natural correlation that you probably aren't the best in the area. Yep. So again, it's like that fear of like, I don't want to overcharge people, but there is a balance of really owning, no, we do offer great classes. I want to be able to pay my team well. I want to be able to do all these fun things in the studio. That means you got to charge at the top. And so, from a, rule of thumb perspective, we'd want you to be minimum above average in area.
Yep.
So anywhere, here's average, we want you to be just above or even higher than that. That's kind of where we want to get you to. And if you're not doing an annual price rise, if you don't do a price rise for a couple of years, it often means that you've got to do a bigger jump to catch up to where you really should be in the market.
Yeah.
Other studios are kind of charging a lot more. You're undercharging, but then you're scared of the sticker shock of what people are going to feel when you do a major price rise. And that's icky. And that's when this becomes very confronting.
Mm-hmm. And if you think about it just in other areas of businesses, we say like the cost of living and the cost of wages go up. So that, that has to be passed on as well. And it's not, we have a lot of studio owners who have that fear, but we're seeing it business and industry wide as well. Like pricing has to go up. So it's not going to be such as big a shock as, you may think or perceive it in your mind.
And look, to kind of reassure you, I would do some maths. I would work out 5% of your students are not going to be happy about it. Doesn't mean they're going to leave, but it means they're probably going to give you feedback, which is sometimes even worse, right? Great. Yeah. Thank you so much for that email. I appreciate it. So 5%, work out that number. What is 5% of your studio? Let's say that might be 8 people.
Mm-hmm.
You can expect and prepare yourself that I'm going to get 8 raging, furious people. And they're going to email me, but I know that on the other side of this, I'm going to have a lot more financial stability. So just prepare yourself. I'm going to get some feedback. I'm going to get some people sending me emails. There may be 1 or 2 people who leave. But you know what usually happens? Nothing. You send the email out and
Crickets.
yeah, it's like, okay.
Yeah.
And if you do it regularly, so it's kind of not a huge amount, you're fine.
You're fine. And that brings us to golden rule number 3, Chantelle. And these 3 words are buzzwords here at Studio Evolution. And some studio owners, aspire to move to this model, don't even know where to start, see other studios doing it, or some have tried doing it, but it hasn't worked successfully the first time. And it's all about all-inclusive pricing. And we've seen this model transform businesses. And Chantelle, maybe we could just go through what are the crux of all-inclusive pricing?
Right. So all-inclusive pricing is moving away from where they will pay for a class and then maybe they might need to pay for a costume and then maybe they've got to pay for a concert ticket and then maybe they've got to pay for a t-shirt and then they've got to pay for photography and they've got to pay for this. This is, traditionally within a dance or a music school, like maybe it's competition or a Stedford or assessment kind of fees on top so that they're paying their tuition, but then on top of that, they're also got their hand in their pocket multiple times per year. No one likes that. All-inclusive is looking at, okay, over the course of 12 months, a student would spend X amount of money in the business. And instead of kind of sending out different invoices and requiring payment and transactions for each of those different little line items, we actually go we're going to make this so simple and easy for our families. We're going to make this really straightforward. We're going to add it all up and we're going to divide it into 12 easy, simple payments for your family budget. And so you're not going to have to be putting your hand in your pocket. It's just all simple and clean. This also moves away from the invoicing model. The reason that that's a good thing is that too many studios I know will send out their invoices and then they have to wait to be paid. And sometimes they're waiting months. And sometimes they're waiting even longer than a couple of months, right? And they've got this huge outstanding tuition debt that is money that they've delivered for, right? They've paid for the teachers. You already delivered the classes and the students haven't paid. It's horrible, right, Michelle? And you've got to still look them in the eye every week.
And there's the complexity. I can't even name how many studio owners we know that's love the student and say I have this relationship with the student and then I just haven't followed it up because the parent just ghosts me and doesn't pay me and doesn't come message back, but I don't want to. And then when we say you got to put that boundary down, it's
and then you see on social media the family's gone to Disneyland.
Oh, that's the kicker right there, isn't it?
Fuck off. No. And that's when it's the studio owner goes oh no, we're going to take care of this right here, right
we're
now.
Going to all-inclusive pricing. So when we remove that invoicing element, you can move to a direct debit or a payment on card, can't we, Chantelle? It's that recurring monthly revenue. And, as we say, the banks don't pause over Christmas. The banks don't pause over the
Your
summer
mortgage
holidays.
doesn't stop. Yeah.
Yeah. So how do, Chantelle, I think that's a common question when we kind of educate on the move to and your specific model of all-inclusive pricing. I do hear a lot of studio owners go, well, then what do we say about that December, that payment?
Okay, so this is the big question. So usually you might have 9 or 10 months of actual delivery. This is a bit different for if you're yoga Pilates, more than likely you're year round.
Yeah.
And I'll talk to that for a second here. Yoga Pilates, you'll often have a drop often in different seasons. Like in winter, people, I just want to kind of go casual at this time. And then your business suffers, right? You're not having the continuity of cash flow. You're having retention come in and out. The class vibe is different. And people are just they're coming for casual class packs. And it changes the whole dynamic of the studio. So again, this is relevant because we want that continuity both of cash flow and of presence in the studio. But for kind of school-based programs, you're operating for, in Australia, that's usually a 40-week academic year. In the Northern Hemisphere, sometimes it's even maybe a little bit less than that. So there's obviously months of the year that we are not operating, 9 or 10 months, maybe even 8 months. So how do we get cash flow for our business? Now, that's really important because you still deserve a wage 12 months of the year, I believe. I believe that your mortgages still need to be paid over the summer. So why should you not have that continuity? Yeah. And so again, the easiest way to kind of communicate this is to say, well, families, we're here over the year, but you're enrolled over 12 months, and we want to make the payments as small as possible for your family. And that's why we've spread the payments over 12 months. And even though we're not kind of in the studio in January or in kind of in August, let's say in the summertime, your kind of payments will still come through. And if you don't want to pay in January, you can pay twice in December or twice in February, but there will be 12 payments to kind of really even out and make it as affordable as possible for your students, for your family. The absolute best thing about moving to this model is that it takes you away from being that kind of onesie twosie, itsy bitsy. You'll find that when you round up, you kind of round things here, even just kind of keeping the prices the exact same, just how the rounding works means that you make more money for the exact same things, but it feels more affordable to the families. I'll give you an example. I just did this inclusive pricing walkthrough for one of our clients just last week, and I kind of did a whole model of what they would do. And their classes were $14 per week. And then on top of that, you're paying $90 in costumes and things like that. When I actually kind of presented the all-inclusive, the numbers for doing this, we actually worked out that it's just going to be $14 per week through the year. So it was actually, they were used to that $14 per week, but the difference is that you're being paid the $14 every week of the summer and when you're not actively in class. So they're hearing that number. It's like, I'm used to $14 a week. $14 a week, yeah, it feels fine. But it's just spread year round. And that's when they go like, easy.
And it's like how you're framing it, right? It's like how you're delivering that information to the parents or to the family or to the student. And that doesn't, when you said it like that, it doesn't feel overwhelming. It doesn't feel like a stretch.
No, and what you move to is a model where, every month you know exactly how much you're going to make.
Yeah.
And you know exactly, even over the kind of summertime, you know exactly how much cash flow you're going to have coming in. You're not waiting for people to pay you. You're not chasing payments. There's a system where you have if the person's credit card bounces, there's an automated thing that kind of goes to kind of resolve it. And you're only going to be resolving those particular ones, which is just life-changing in terms of that energy and that discomfort of feeling like they haven't paid their fees. And I'm still here with a smile on, teaching that kid every week. It's uncomfortable, friends. It's uncomfortable, and you don't need to feel it. It's just a different process.
Yeah. Who knew that like those 3 golden rules and boundaries can change so much even energetically within your studio and the exchange?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of this is about fear, and feeling uncomfortable. And we have that blue binder behind me is called Positive Prosperity. We spend 4 months on finances in Studio Evolution. And when you hear that, you're probably like, shit, that sounds utterly horrible. But I say to them in the first week, I say, like, my goal is to make you fall in love with your numbers. And by the end of the pillar, by the end of the 4 months in Studio Evolution, people have they've never done a profit and loss statement. They avoid looking at their bank accounts. They've got no idea about the profitability of their business. And they finish this pillar with a plan. And they know exactly how much they're going to raise their prices of over the next 5 years. They know exactly how to make financial decisions. They know what percentage of their revenue to spend on rent. They know what percentage to spend on wages. And if they go above that, they're not going to make their profit. They've actually got empowerment for the first time in their entire career. And it is a good thing, Michelle. It is an amazing thing to watch, right?
It's so amazing. Even their accountants are like, what have you done over the last 4 months? What is this program that you are doing? And it really is that. It is one of my most favorite pillars because everyone goes in thinking that they're just going to learn numbers, but it is a whole transformation of a lot of conditioning that we've gone through, right? Like all through our life around money, around finances. There's also a really beautiful piece to this pillar is like we really try to get to the root of that as well. And just make you fall in love with your numbers and be confident. And I think that's it also up levels these studio owners as leaders.
Yeah, and there's such a kind of entrenched stereotype that we do what we love, so we don't expect to make a lot of money, right? And like the whole struggling, underpaid, overworked studio owner, like that stereotype is real. It doesn't make it right. It doesn't make it right. Because Michelle and I know a lot of studio owners who fly around the world first class.
Yeah.
And
to meet us.
To meet us
at Horizon
locations.
House. Yeah. And who are, within 2 years of being in the Evolution program are paying themselves doubling their wage, Chantelle. It's just
minimum.
from going from having a self-value of like, this is just a passion project, I do it for love, and then to be doubling their wage within 2 years, it really...
And because it's normal to have that hesitancy, right? Like when you're scared about what people are going to think and like, are they going to leave? And I can't afford to lose any students. Like when you're coming from that versus like, when people step into Evolution and we're like, okay, well, here's how your pricing could look. This is going to be a lot easier. It's going to save you this, this, and this. And this, here's how you communicate it. You got this, right? Like having someone like, you can do this. It's the fear of the unknown when you're doing it on your own. That's hard. That is hard. And to do that year after year is difficult to sustain, right, friend?
It is so hard. And if you're listening here today and you're thinking, maybe I want to be in that room and get my pricing reviewed by Chantelle, or, I want to fall back in love with my numbers, or, look at my numbers if you haven't even looked at them, we'd really encourage you to apply for Studio Evolution. You can go to studioevolution.com/apply and fill out a little application form and see if Studio Evolution is a fit.
That would be a great joy to be able to work with you, my friends. And it is life-changing once you find out that you can do what you love and you can make a lot of money doing what you love as well. They're not mutually exclusive. It's an and. You want to run this business you love and you've built, and you want to make a lot of money and have a lot of freedom too. That's what we're here to deliver. So let's just kind of recap the 3 golden rules of pricing, Michelle, just to bring this home. The first is to simplify your pricing. Don't make people work it out too hard. It's a marketing issue. Bring it right back. Yep. The second is to continually every year do a small price increase, make that part of your kind of projection, map out the next 5 years of where you're going to go and just stick to that and feel the fear and do it anyway, right? And the third is to really explore moving to an all-inclusive monthly model, which kind of allows you to build in buffers of profit and gives a huge amount of administrative ease to you and all of your students as well. Important stuff that we get right in our businesses. This is really important, and I'm glad we had this conversation here today. And I'm really looking forward to reading your application for Studio Evolution and to welcome you in and chuck you that blue binder in the post.
So, Chantelle, we've come to the end of the season. What a year, friend. It's been huge. What's been like your fondest memory looking back at this season?
I swallowed a fly during a podcast and kept going. So I'm practically Beyonce. The show must go on. I'm proud of that moment. What are you most proud of?
For 10 seconds. We had so much. I'm just...
I loved your poo story too.
That's probably the highlight. If you know how many DMs I've received, even our call outs into the masterclass group with 7,000 plus studio owners, we said, have you got a question? Someone said, yep, I would love to know more about the poo. It's like, oh, we're right there. We're there. That's probably been my highlight.
That's my highlight. So yeah, we're looking forward to seeing you next season. We're going to take a little break, recharge, come back with more stories. And as ever, we are very, very grateful. Big shout out to Holly, who's our marketing manager here on our team. She's the one who makes all this magic happen. And Ina as well for supporting. They are just dream team with us here. Who else do we want to kind of do a little shout out to?
Just our whole home team, like Mish, Fee, Nick, Kelly, like Kathy, it's just been Kathy, Sam. It's been a huge season, and we're so fortunate enough in the last year to connect with a lot of our team members again in person. And we love what we do. We love, connecting with you, and we really are lucky, aren't we, Chantelle? The fact that we get to wake up every day and do this is just a joy.
The luckiest. Thank you for going and subscribing to our pod, to like us and follow us. It means the world to us that you do so. And we will see you next season.
See you on the other side.
Bye.
Love what you hear? Make sure to hit subscribe so you don't miss an episode, and leave us a review. Interested in working with us and want to find out more about how we can help you? Head to studioevolution.com/start.